We love surprises, especially new games that get dropped with no warning. So when Tango Gameworks busted down the doors with their new IP during the Xbox showcase, you better believe we wanted a piece of the action. Hey there friends, it's Kodiak here, welcome back to Legacy Gaming. Grab your guitars, cause today we're rocking out to Hi-Fi Rush to let you know if we think it's worth your time. Okay, so look, rhythm action games aren't usually on my radar, but when the team over at Tango Gameworks announced a same-day release of the game during the Xbox showcase, I thought it looked too good to pass on. Few games are able to capture my attention for a single and solid playthrough, but here I am, 12 hours later, here to tell you that this game is just incredible. If you came here just to know if it's worth your time, well, there it is. Hi-Fi Rush is absolutely worth your time, no question. I've been waiting for a game this fresh for a while, so let's dive in and find out what makes Hi-Fi Rush so special. I can't begin without gushing over the aesthetics. I freaking love the feeling of being in a cyberpunk comic book. From the panel mission briefings to the highly stylized combat splashes, this absolutely hooked me from top to bottom. The bold lines and vibrant colors push this style forward and just look amazing. Combine this with the great storytelling and genuinely incredible gameplay, it had me hooked for hours. We start with our hero, Chai, a rockstar hopeful who winds up being a test subject for an evil tech company. Being accidentally fused with a beat-pumping music player, he's been labeled as defective and the company doesn't want defective subjects around. He teams up with friends along the way to foil the company's plans to dominate the marketplace. The game gave me some serious Fortnite meets Borderlands vibes. Choosing this style for a rhythm-based game was just a smart move, and one that marries the lighthearted nature of the playstyle nicely with the storytelling and cheesy humor. Each sequence is well thought out and presented in a super easy to follow way. My initial fear was that the game was just going to plaster combat over a music track and attempt some mild rhythm sequencing, but this game lives and breathes rhythm. Everything, and I mean everything, has rhythm coded to its core. The whole environment moves to the beat, from the pistons of decorative engines, the interactive platforms, plants, trash cans, you name it, everything and anything moves together. I personally caught myself many times physically moving along with the beat, and that in extension began to influence how I played my character. Combat and movement throughout the levels took on a whole new feeling that left me wanting to jump back in as soon as that level was over. Now, while the music itself isn't anything to gush over, I think that's part of the point. I never found myself stopping to really listen to it because it was just part of the whole experience, not to be isolated by itself. The additive combat musical notes just added to the feeling of me being a rock star in my own band, and simply put, it was perfect. With all that in mind, now sprinkle in quality level design. Each level is different from the previous, yet creates an additive experience that fuses mechanics together as you progress. Each level had me curious as to what surprises were in store. I was immersed in a vertical level one moment, only to find myself suddenly thrown into a stunning side-scroller the next. This design kept the flavor unique and changed up my expectations even within one level. Mix in features that require future unlocks to access, and you have a recipe for replayability that keeps the player coming back. Coming off the likes of Forspoken and other high-action button mashers, I'm not gonna lie, it took me a couple stages to just settle down and let the beat be my guide. The devs do a masterful job navigating you through the experience. I'll admit the tutorials were a bit heavy at first, and the slow trickle of mechanics and enemies really had me wondering if things would ever pick up, but by stage 4, I found myself incredibly grateful that I had been spoon-fed some super basic mechanics. By this time, you really begin to string it all together, and the levels begin to use all of the skills learned up until this point. I'm not usually one to memorize combo lists within a game, it's just not something I excel at, but I caught myself paying extra attention in this game, wanting to see how a certain combo would rhythmically play out in a sequence. Hi-Fi Rush drew out my willingness to dabble in systems I wouldn't otherwise, and that's something the development team deserves a huge amount of kudos for. You'll become familiar with the basic combo offerings as well as finishers sewn throughout the game. You can purchase additional moves or items with the ridiculous amount of gear currency scattered throughout all of the levels and dropped by enemies. Once unlocked, that combo is instantly usable, but you can only equip and use one finisher at a time, unless you purchase more finisher slots in the store. You can even refund the move if you don't like it or purchased it by accident, albeit at a small loss of currency. An awesome feature that allows you to really experiment and doesn't punish you for making a choice. You do also get some well-placed tutorials as well as a full-on training room to test everything in your kit. It's a great quality of life feature, and the team even implemented these in-level NPCs to help remind you of features as well as comically entice you to interact and test out your new skills. It's these subtle features scattered throughout the game that keeps you fully immersed while offering that additional comic relief that's just unexpected. I absolutely loved it and often found myself seeking out these non-gameplay affecting conversations just to see what cheeky line they had to deliver. I'm also happy to report that variety in NPCs was abundant, and it was clear that a good amount of thought went into each enemy type and their moveset. I didn't feel anything was a reskin. Each encounter was something different than the last. In our modern gaming experience, this seems to be a rare occurrence nowadays, and it was so incredibly refreshing. The list ranges from basic enemies with basic attack sequences to far advanced attack patterns and even abilities that enhance enemies around them. When combining enemy types, this ensured that no two encounters were identical and threw in just enough variety into the mix to keep the pace of combat fresh and exciting. I'll be honest, I was surprised that the team actually delivered a super fun and enjoyable plot. I didn't expect to care at all about it, but as you build out your arsenal of friends and experiences, you get to know each character and their personal connection to one another. I even got invested in their success or failure, and although I hate to admit it, I even found myself personally relating to Chai's cheeky dad humor.
The generator's still running.
That's shocking.
Now, this isn't a story for the ages by any means, but it absolutely hits the mark without leaving any glaring plot holes or lingering questions. Even down to introducing the hero by showing us a brief sequence of how Chai came to be known as the Defect. It just made sense in the world they created. It was one big cohesive work of art that flowed together pretty seamlessly. Let's briefly touch on the few yet polished systems the team implemented within the game. Fortunately, they are very simple and accessible, and really well done. As you progress, you'll collect gear parts that you can spend at the shop for new combos, finishing moves, items, and chips that allow you to enhance Chai. Between each rhythmic stage, you're returned back to the hub to cash in at the shop, dialogue with your team, view collectibles, and check up on your achievements. Scattered throughout each level is graffiti art and these data pads that add some cheeky and creative context to the environment. If you're an achievement hunter, you'll be happy to find a very rewarding system. As you focus down each challenge, you'll bank these to later cash out on, granting you various rewards, including filling out this splash art on the wall, a neat nod to visually represent your accomplishments and on par with the rest of the immersive style for the game. All this to show, a game doesn't need to go super deep to offer a fun and enjoyable experience. With plenty of combos and meaningful items to test out, you'll never be short of things to try as you rhythmically work your way through each environment. In today's world of big company monopolies and the oversaturated markets of AAA games, Hi-Fi Rush felt like such a breath of fresh air. There was no bad system, no battle pass, no padding, no microtransactions. It was a complete game from start to finish and has set a perfect example for games that might follow in its footsteps. I said it at the beginning and I want to bring it back home here. Hi-Fi Rush is absolutely worth your time. Do yourself a favor, pick it up for around $30 on PC, Xbox, or check it out on Game Pass. We hope you found this review helpful, and if you decide to pick up Hi-Fi Rush, we definitely hope you enjoy it as much as we did. As always, we love hearing from you in the comments and do our best to reply, so let us know if you have any questions or thoughts on the game. I also want to invite you to the Legacy Gaming community on Discord. We just recently revamped our entire server, and as home to nearly 20,000 members, it's a great place to hang out, talk about games, win free stuff, and group up. As always, I'll leave that link in the description below. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.